Hi, I'm George Dahl, and welcome back to my film journal. Today, what I have for you is yet another Captain Marvel review to add to the mounting heap of conversation that's been clogging up the internet's pipes ever since this film was released back in March. So why release this video now? Well, I'll tell you this. We did record this back during the initial release of the movie, but I was reticent to release it because we were met with a maelstrom, a confluence, if you will, of bad mojo surrounding the production of this thing. For one, I accidentally deleted the first half of our conversation. So this was recorded in two settings, but I think you'll find part two entirely satisfactory. However, cameras A, B, and C slowly die off throughout the review, and you're left with an unsatisfactory ending. But I thought, hey, look, we have 45 minutes of good conversation here. Why not release it? And I think, unfortunately, after cameras A and B died out, we had a more productive and interesting talk with each other than we had initially, because for the first 20 minutes of this review, it's just me kind of being a grumpy old dude and like venting about this movie, which I didn't actually like. However, I thought that there was stuff worth watching here, and I felt bad throwing it on the cutting room floor, considering Vince Salerno and myself put so much work into recording it. We had a great time talking. Again, I want to apologize to Vince, who you can find on YouTube as the Big V75. He's got a great podcast. Subscribe to him on iTunes and give him a listen. Subscribe to him on YouTube. He's a great guy and has a lot of interesting things to say about films. And if you are a Toy Story 4 fan, he is the dude to go to. So without further ado, I will introduce you to our subpar Captain Marvel review. But there's still 45 good minutes here of conversation, and you can pretty much glean, although we're missing a little bit of context, as to what we thought about Captain Marvel. So I'll talk to you after it's over. Thanks.
We can't do this alone. We need you.
I'm not what you think I am.
What'd you like about it, Vince?
Well, now that I got my notebook, I like the score. The composer's name was, I don't think I'm going to pronounce this right, Pinar Toprak.
Cool. Score was good.
Score was really good.
Reminded me of Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, kind of a like retro space. It had this like retro space epicness to it. It was different from Ragnarok. It was a little less
Poppy,
zany, over the top, but still really enjoyable. I remember that being sort of this constant thought, like, wow, this score is really good.
I agree with you.
Nick Fury. I thought Samuel Jackson, as always, was fantastic. I love the sort of buddy cop banter that him and Carol Danvers had throughout the movie.
Here's what I didn't think. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
He even... what was I going to say? Even though Carol Danvers herself isn't so well developed, that banter between the two of them is still really fun. It was kind of one of the most enjoyable parts of the movie, and probably one of the best parts, I think.
I agree with you. It actually brought some life into the movie.
Yeah, kind of harkened back to like Pulp Fiction.
It was
a
nice
little
to,
bit.
It was nice
wasn't
to
as
see,
well written as Pulp Fiction, but still kind of not, almost in pure concept of itself, homaged sort of that essence, with Nick Fury in the 90s and stuff. So
yeah, and I thought that for the most part the CGI de-aging on him looked all right.
Oh, it was perfect.
I thought Clark Gregg looked horrible.
Oh, you didn't think he looked great?
I thought he looked weird as hell.
Oh man,
I think a guy wearing a Clark Gregg mask and like a hairpiece.
I didn't think he looked de-aged at all, to be honest. I just think they put some hair on him.
I don't think you have to, but they did. Like there was a scene where he looked young, and I was like,
it's like,
okay. I mean, I could see how that'd be really cool as an actor to do something like that.
Yeah.
My problem with Nick Fury in this movie is not so, and you could spin it and say, well, he was not the Nick Fury that we know now then.
Mm-hmm.
But he just seemed like there's a tendency in the Marvel films to make everybody the comic relief character. Mm-hmm. Everybody's funny.
I see where you're going with this.
I didn't think he seemed at all like the Nick Fury that we know from the other films.
Mm-hmm.
He was just always kind of funny. I mean, you guys, he was the best part of the film. I thought he did a wonderful job. I like Sam Jackson a lot, but he's sort of supposed to be like the world-weary cop, and she's
spy, yeah.
like the same thing. Like it would have been so much better had she been like a. If anyone's ever seen Star Trek 4,
Oh,
You know how they act when
Love
they go
Star
back
Trek
to the
4.
past and Earth, and they're very earnest and buttoned up, and double dumbass on you. Then they're not with it and hip. Whereas
Yeah.
like Brie Larson was like with it and hip, and like spouting off like modern idioms and like, hey, what about that? The whole time. Where it's like,
Yeah.
she did the fish out of water thing for about 2 minutes because everyone got a big laugh out of like Blockbuster being in the movie. I guess. I guess that's funny because
Yeah.
remember Blockbuster used to be a store and now it closed. So that's. Remember that?
It's sad.
Laugh at
It's
their
not
pain.
funny. It's sad.
Yeah.
Jeez.
God,
Assholes.
I don't know. Yeah, then like she goes into a security guard and is like, "Where's the Alpha Command Center or whatever?" And he's
Right.
like, "Oh, over there." And I guess like that's funny, I suppose.
Yeah.
Gotta laugh, but she just like, I think of that one scene where they're stuck in a room. This is how bad. This is the script is just bad, and like they're trying to get out, and Fury like finagles some kind of private eye way to escape from the room, and by taping his, like he tapes his finger.
The
to
fingerprint. Yeah.
Yeah, and then later on they're trying to get into a room that's locked, and Captain Marvel just blows it up with her hand. And then he goes, "Why didn't you just do that before?" And she's like, "Oh, a sassy quirk." And then everyone laughs, and it's like, still doesn't explain why you didn't just do that before.
Yeah. Like she doesn't have to.
No. Like it's like, well,
yeah.
what? It makes her kind of unlikable. I think in Red Letter Media they said that was like not very generous of you. Like, kind of, I mean, just
Yeah.
like that scene. It's a real explains a lot of problems in the film. Also, here's another script problem: the cat that everybody loves because everyone on the internet loves cats. So they just thought they'd throw a cat in here to like. Essentially as catnip for idiots who like cat memes on Twitter. Remember that cat? Literally, they're in the base, like they're sneaking into a base. Cat just walks into a room.
That's the alarm you told me to set.
Oh, Lord, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Damn phone. Come on.
yeah, that's all right.
Technology. Okay. Stop.
Okay.
There we go.
Here's another example of bad writing. There's a cat that they stumble upon, and everyone loves this cat because it's hilarious. We like to make memes of cats, and on Twitter the homepage is like, people on the internet are going crazy for Goose the cat, and then like they have some memes of people laughing about it or whatever. The cat literally walks into this movie. It just walks into the movie, and everyone's like, "Oh, a cat! Wow!"
It's just at the base. It's like
It's just at the base.
Who's
Why?
taking care of this damn thing?
It's an alien cat.
Is he just eating like bodyguards as they come by?
Why
like,
is
what
he?
the hell?
What's he doing there?
Yeah. And I to be honest, I liked.
What
Goose.
is he doing there?
I know that.
Like if you had a scene where they walked into a room and there were a bunch of specimens in jars and then there was a cat, that would explain it. But it just like walks into the film. It's like, oh, idiots will laugh at this.
Yeah. No, I get it. I like the cat though. Like other than like what the hell is he just like who's been feeding this thing? I thought the cat was great.
Yeah, it was a funny bit, especially when they were like, "This cat's very dangerous," and everyone's like, "Oh, haha, no, it's not."
I like that build up
funny.
because I think for casual fans it's this funny build up like that's funny. They just don't like cats. It's like, oh no, it's actually a terrifying cat monster thing.
I would think that the cat. I get what you're right. It's funny. It's
I enjoy
funny.
it. I can get why
But no,
you
but I
would-
mean, you have to realize that cat just walking into the movie is a huge problem.
It is. Yeah.
If you were, I think any aspiring filmmaker should be enraged by this. You should be enraged that you were not writing this movie. Because if you were in a screenwriting class and you wrote a scene where a cat just walked into the scene and then it turned out to be really important to the movie, you would be laughed at and people would say, "Dude, why are you even like what is wrong? Like what?" You know what I'm saying?
It's lazy writing.
It's beyond lazy.
It's It's convenience.
That is beyond lazy.
It's about as convenient as her multicolored wristband that changes the colors on her suit. I mean, as much as I mean, it was a fun scene because like, oh, let's have her like the neon suit. Like that was cool. It's like, okay, let's just stick with that for the rest of the movie. To be honest, that's cool. But it's like that is the most convenient bullshit I've ever seen. Pardon my French. But
no, it is.
It's so lazy.
It's very lazy.
Doctor Strange never got his cape by like, oh, let me digitally put that on there with my wrist thing. Or Captain America was like, let me just.
I mean, they just made it for him, but they just explained it. Like, Howard Stark made it for him. He's a scientist, right? Yeah. And we could have had it been like, it could have been, what's your name for American? It could have been Annette Bening's suit. This was the suit that Annette Bening, my mentor, wore. You know, I'm putting it on now as a symbol.
She was this rebellious Kree soldier. Why not give her a suit that has the different colors or something? Yeah.
Oh, I have it, or whatever. But no, it's like, oh yeah, I could change my suit's color just because if I want to have a morning suit, it's, I mean, like what? What is that possible?
Well, then what's the point of having them all be that like aqua blue, gray color? Like
because
if you're just gonna change them constantly, why do that at all?
Why not have everyone have a different colored suit? Then it would explain it. Like why not? I mean, but you
exactly.
don't want to do that.
Why not, Marvel? Why not?
But I mean, if you're an aspiring screenwriter and you see hacks doing shit like that, you would be laughed out of any screenwriting class, and people would say, this is a big plot hole and a mistake. You need to fix this.
I know some professors who would be pretty disappointed. If anybody that graduated from my college was like, oh, let's just write a cat there. Like, the cat appears in the hallway.
Where'd it come from?
But
don't worry about it. It's funny. Oh, are we making Is this like?
Hey, you'll like it in about an hour and a half of the movie. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
And don't worry. In the meantime, it'll be cute, and you can make memes of it.
Yeah.
I mean, is this Caddyshack? We're just gonna be like, here's the next joke. Like, I love Caddyshack, but I mean, it's not whatever.
And while we're on the cat, again, me liking the cat. Before I say this, the other thing that I didn't say before that I absolutely hate about this movie is how Fury loses his eye. It gets scratched out by the cat.
Yeah.
This moment has been like, for big MCU diehards like me, and you, I'm assuming, this is like something that's been built up throughout like almost 10 years of the movies. Like, Nick Fury appeared in the first film. Like, we want to know the story about how he lost his eye. Can we see it in like a spin-off movie or a prequel? And then, okay, this is Fury before he loses an eye in the 90s in Captain Marvel. You're going to see how he loses that eye. They set it up so well in Winter Soldier. He says, like, last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye.
Isn't that scene have a lot more, isn't that scene a lot more powerful now that you know that it's a cat?
It's freaking, it's...
I get it. They're doing a
terrible.
joke. But it's like...
It's a joke.
It's just a prequel mistake of explaining shit you don't need to explain.
Right.
I don't need to know how Fury lost his eye.
But they with the line in Winter Soldier, and then this having the Skrulls... shape-shifting aliens, they set it up so well that something really dramatic and something with gravity could happen to him. Like, last time I trusted somebody, aka a Skrull masquerading as someone I really trusted, I lost an eye.
Yeah.
And now last time I trusted some stupid cat that can puke out tentacles on command, I lost an eye.
I get it. It's fine. It didn't make me that mad, but it just
I was furious.
I was just like, yeah, I guess what else can I expect from this movie other than just to try to get a cheap laugh?
Yeah.
I
was so angry. And then they play off like, how's your eye? Oh, it's fine. It'll heal up in a little bit.
Just like anticlimactic.
Shut up. Get out of here.
It was like...
It was so dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It didn't bother me that much. I guess I don't mind. But Marvel does that a lot. Like in Thor Ragnarok, where they played the destruction of Asgard as like a joke.
That's true.
Remember that? And I was just like, why undercut this moment? You could actually have some drama in your film.
It was followed by a pretty dramatic line though, like Thor saying like to Heimdall, like, what have I done? He's like, you turn. Well, wait, no.
But you have the character.
No,
you have the character.
Star Trek 3. I'm thinking of Star Trek 3. But it's the same line.
You have a character that was played by the director. Go, well, we could rebuild it by its foundations, and it blows up, and he goes, nope, not rebuilding that. And everyone laughs at the destruction of the civilization that we've come to know for 3 movies. So that, I think, if Marvel's worried about their movies becoming like throwaway fast food, stop undermining your own mythos for jokes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, because you had to have jokes in the first Iron Man to bring in people that aren't comic book fans, to ease them into the world of...
That's just kind of imbued in the comics, at least in sort of modern comics. They're funny.
Now you've got everybody. You don't have to undercut the legacy of your own creations to make normies and fucking, people happy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't have to do that anymore.
You can do anything, and they will come.
I know.
They will come.
Stop.
Build it, and they will come.
Yeah. I mean, like... Stop undermining your own. And I'm not saying these have to be like The Dark Knight, essentially.
Yeah.
But just... And here's the other thing, too, about the Skrulls. Mm-hmm. I actually liked the twist that they were good.
Yeah, I have that in my notes here. I love the twist.
That was nice, because it was a nice mix-up of who the villain was. But then, unfortunately, Jude Law just becomes kind of like the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, where he's like, I was the villain the whole time, but I don't really have... I just sat on a ship and didn't really do anything. Kind of a waste of Jude Law.
It is.
A criminal waste of Annette Bening. I mean, like, for half the time, she's a character that we're told was very noble.
If she's going to be the mentor, just make her the mentor. Why make it this big secret? Like, oh, hey, psych on you, mansplaining haters, It's actually a woman who's going to be the mentor, not a man.
No, that's fine. That's great.
It's like, cool.
Annette Bening is a wonderful actress.
Yeah, that's great. But I don't care. Make it a woman. Cool.
Don't confuse everybody by then making her also the supreme intelligence.
Well,
why did that have to happen?
The way they explained that was like the Supreme Intelligence takes on the persona of somebody that means a lot to you.
Why? for what thematic purpose would that be necessary? Now, say she had like a real conflicting relationship with her father, and then her father took on the Supreme Intelligence. So then she's telling the Supreme Intelligence, i.e., the bad memories of her and her father, to be gone and be banished. Sort of like the Gerald's Game movie, the Stephen King book and film, where she has to overcome the phantom of her sort of abusive husband to escape her predicament. But then why make her Annette Bening? Because we realize, we don't have enough stuff for Annette Bening to do because we turned her into a flashback.
Why not cast Jude Law as the dad and make Jude Law the Supreme Intelligence?
Why would she have to overcome the Supreme Intelligence in the form of someone she admired?
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. It's ludicrous.
I didn't think about that until you mentioned that.
What for? I don't get it. Because I was hoping that Annette Bening would have something to do. Because I like her.
It's Annette Bening.
Have you ever seen American Beauty? She's fantastic.
She's great.
I mean, to have her be sort of the Obi-Wan Kenobi character is great casting. To have Jude Law be a villain is good, but you have to actually come through on that. But you're interested in the Nick Fury, Brie Larson comedy hour, which I guess is what everyone wants to see, and they laugh at and they walk out and they say, "Hey, thumbs up, it was funny." But I don't think it gives your movie. No one's gonna rewatch. I don't know. I don't know. I was a lot more constructive in my criticism when I talked to people on the phone about what I thought. They said, "What do you think?" I was very nuanced. I didn't want to go on the internet and appear as if I'm some sort of like woman-hating incel or whatever. But at this point, I've just kind of lost my patience with the film talking about it. It's very, very bad. Go ahead. What else do you like?
I kind of agree.
The more I think about it, the worse it gets.
Yeah, no. I still don't hate it as much as you do, but I will agree. Like, the more I've thought about things, the more I've listened to other people's opinions and discussed it, the more I've realized this is like bargain bin MCU. This is the bottom of the. This is like close to the bottom of the barrel. Definitely not the worst of them all, but close.
What's the worst of them all?
Not because it's terrible, but the Incredible Hulk. I think.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's boring.
I think it's Thor the Dark World.
It's really boring for me.
Thor 2 is the worst, I think.
Thor 2 at least has some. Thor 2 visually was what I wanted Thor 1 to be. Yeah. But it was just a really bad script.
It looks better. It's more expensive.
Yeah, sure. But yeah. And then Ragnarok came along and just like screw it all.
Yeah.
Even though we're doing the most dramatically devastating thing to happen to the character, Ragnarok, but we're not going to get into that. While we're on the Star Force stuff and the Supreme Intelligence, I love the sci-fi elements. I thought
we should have spent more than 10 minutes there.
Yeah, Star Force. That was sort of like the Green Lantern type thing I was talking about. Like, these people are badass. Like the people they got to play those people, like the Korath from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's there for some reason, we don't know why, but he's there. Gemma Chan, who's a great actress. She played I guess the rivalry female Kree to Captain Marvel, who never really gets enough screen time. Like, I don't know if you've seen her in any movies, but I think she's great.
Okay.
And it was, I discussed this with a friend last night. Like, it's criminal how much she was in the movie, because she's been in so much. She was like in, oh my gosh, she was in that show Humans on AMC. She's on Crazy Rich Asians. She's in like a bunch of stuff in the past year and this coming year. She's a growing actress, like, and the fact that she had one Thor line was like, "Oh well, I just hated you," and then they fight, and then she dies. I'm pretty sure she dies in this movie. It's like,
right?
What was that?
Why
you threw away a great character and potential, like, I don't know. You could have had something similar to that of Nebula and Gamora and Guardians. You don't have to, but she could have been a great villain in the sequel or something if they even make one, which they're probably going to, because it's got $400 million.
I like the story idea of someone who is all in on the Kree imperialist project, and who really believes, like, this is what I'm about. These Skrulls are bad, and then they really believe in that, because then that can become a really emotional, dramatic moment when she realizes, I'm actually the oppressing force here. I need to be good, right? Yeah. But that doesn't really happen, because it seems like she's not really invested in the Kree thing, because we don't really know what the Kree world is like or what they're about. We get to see what their apartments look like, what it looks like when they look out their window.
Yeah.
That they have an AI Supreme Intelligence, and that
like, that's supposed to be a team.
Right. We get like one thing with them.
Yeah. There's no banter. There's no like
no.
Like that makes the turn of her fighting those people way more dramatic. It's like, these are still her friends.
Right, but it doesn't feel that way.
But then she's like, well, too bad, suckers. I'm like Super Saiyan or whatever they call it. I'm gonna kick your asses.
Yeah, you're
I'm
done.
just a girl.
Goodbye. Have you heard this No Doubt song? By the way, I've never. I was excited for this when we set in the '90s because there's some of my favorite music ever was made in the '90s. And I noticed she wears a Nine Inch Nails shirt. Yeah. But there's like absolutely no grunge rock or anything like that.
The
and it's
90s
absolutely
songs.
the worst music I could have picked for the '90s to play.
Yeah, except
Nothing
for
good.
the No Doubt song.
I like No Doubt.
And then
Fine.
Come As You Are.
Yeah. Oh God.
Nirvana.
What was the point of that?
I don't know why that was there because I've heard
'Cause
that
we
song
own
doesn't
it?
come out until like a year after the
When did it
movie's
take place?
set.
No, Nirvana was done by '94. This
Oh,
set
was
in
it?
90, yeah,
Okay,
pretty
well,
sure.
whoever told me that was
Cobain
a
died in
moron.
'95, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, because the movie's in like 95, I think.
Whatever.
Like summer 95, summer 96.
Just a lot of
whatever.
wasted stuff, a lot of shoehorn
Yeah,
stuff.
I agree. Like, I went back and listened to the music on Spotify. I was like, I don't know any of this stuff except for
None of it was that good.
the end credits song was cool. Celebrity Skin, I think it's called. I don't know who the band is, but
Is that Hole?
sure, I don't know.
I think so.
The song at the end that playing the end of the credits. I thought
That's
this
Courtney
is
Love's
cool.
band. She
Yeah.
was Kurt Cobain's wife.
For some reason it reminded me of like, because like a lot of Marvel music or a lot of Marvel movies were associated with that type of music, especially like the Spider-Man movies. So like that's like that type of like 90s like early 2000s music, that to me that's like, if you put that in a Marvel movie, that's like that's Marvel. I don't know why. That's just kind of it just feels right together. You know what I mean?
Feels fun.
It feels fun. Yeah.
Little
So
levity.
hearing that at the end of a Marvel movie, I was like, oh, that kind of harkens back to my early days loving Marvel and Spider-Man and those Sam Raimi films.
Oh, I see. You do a little nostalgia trip there.
Yeah, a little nostalgia trip. But like other than that, and then the No Doubt song, I was like, what is the rest of this stuff?
I didn't think it was. Well, it was all kind of like. I don't remember. There was one song where she stole the motorcycle from the guy or whatever, and it was. I don't want to say it was an Alanis Morissette song, but it was something like that.
It was some sort of like 90s. Like,
Singer-songwriter thing.
Shania Twain-esque song.
Yeah,
I was just
kind
like,
of like that.
what is this?
And there was some great stuff. Like, you ever listen to the Cranberries or the Sundays, or Lisa Loeb?
No.
And none of that was in there, which is too bad.
Yeah,
Great
I mean,
bands
I'm
with female
I,
singers.
I believe you when you say there are a lot of great 90s songs in there. I just can't remember because I'm not a huge. I'm just not in being a 90s kid. I'm not imbued in that culture.
You're a little younger than me. Though.
Yeah. I'm into like 80s and 70s stuff like that earlier, but I was prepared to be like, let's have another killer soundtrack like in Guardians, and it was like,
Really not.
well, yeah, this is underwhelming.
What else? And here's the other thing I'll say about the Skrulls too.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I like the Skrulls.
I like the revelation that the Skrulls were good. They should have not been the Skrulls.
You don't think they should have been the Skrulls?
No, because you have so much potential. You have a film where the lead villain can manipulate and change their appearance, but that's never used to further any sort of emotional beat or thematic point. It's just like, it might as well just be any kind of power they have to trick people.
Yeah.
Because they don't ever use it to its full potential. Like, you'd think if there was a scene where say she had to grapple with something in her past. Say her dad was a jerk, right? Mm-hmm. The Skrull could turn into her dad and, like, emotionally sort of, like, freak her out. And then they would say, what happened? Why'd you let him go? Oh, I can't overcome this. And then at the very end, she can, right? That's what you would do in a story if you're trying to make a point. Because she keep driving home this point of, like, I guess in her past there have been various douchey men that have told her that she can't be...
There's a reason why they call it the cockpit, babe.
Yeah, whoa, I'm a douche. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
Look what women have to deal with. It's so bad. I mean, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I mean, while that culture is unfortunately true, like...
Yeah, there are
women
people
do
that like that.
Women do get that stuff, but it was just like... It was way too on the nose.
Because it was just badly written.
It
You
was,
needed to
yeah.
have, like, if Jude Law never seemed to me that, like, maybe I'm totally wrong and I'm ignorant of how horrible he was mansplaining or whatever, but it seemed to me like he was just a fairly run-of-the-mill kind of supportive coach to her. Like, you know, he taught her how to fight. He was giving her good advice about, like, letting the past go and keeping in the present. And then,
Right.
I mean, there's that moment where she's goofing around. He's like, hey, straighten up or whatever. I mean, I guess that was some horrible emotional blow, maybe. I don't know. But then just on a dime, he's like, I'm actually evil. Haha, I tricked you.
What have you done to your outfit?
Yeah. Or just like, what a stupid idea. Like, oh, she got blown up by an engine, and then now it's like, we need to take her with us and trick her into thinking she's one of us. And like, just what contrivances. And then there's even that moment where he goes, give her an infusion of my blood so that we trick her by putting my blood into her, and it was just
Yeah.
like
That was
because that was
was
a problem.
that a blood infusion? Is that
That's
why
what he said.
Oh my gosh.
And that was a problem where they wrote the script and someone's like, why did she bleed blue at the beginning? It's like, shit, get Jude Law back here for some ADR. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought it was just like the blast, because I know in the comics like she absorbs some sort of blast that makes her part Kree, part...
Yes.
But in this it's like, no, she just absorbs the power of the Tesseract, and then she gets a blood transfusion from Jude Law. I didn't know that.
First of all,
Holy
why
crap.
do we have to beat the dead horse of the Tesseract? It
Yeah.
couldn't be anything else. Wasn't the Tesseract like underwater or some shit? Like where
They found it at the end of Captain America.
But then where is it in this movie? It's at the base.
It's on the ship. It's
Why is it on the ship then?
Somehow Marvel Annette Bening
took it.
gets it from Tony Stark or Tony Stark, Howard Stark,
Shield.
from Shield or whatever, because she's using it to create the like the light speed technology.
Right. Why couldn't it have been anything else?
Yeah.
So she has cosmic cube powers, which is what it was called in the comics. It was called the Cosmic Cube. I
not
guess
the
that's dumb.
Tesseract.
We can't call it that. But
Too cheesy.
yeah, I guess. But I don't know why you have to keep beating that dead horse. Like, it just seems like some Phantom Menace shit of like, remember C-3PO? He's in this movie. It's still connected.
Giving to Scarif.
Remember all that shit that you liked about the other movies? Mm-hmm. This glowing cube, fan favorite, back again.
It's like, okay, cool, the Tesseract, it didn't need to be there. It just
no.
could have been anything else.
And it was in a Fonzie lunchbox, which that's funny because it's a very powerful, priceless item, and they put it in a Fonzie lunchbox,
Yeah.
which is
That was great.
Well,
That
that's
was
not
funny.
the kind of thing you would expect to carry the Tesseract around in a Fonzie. So it's funny.
Yeah.
Get it?
Probably one of the funniest things in the entire movie, to be
No,
honest.
I didn't think it was funny at all. I thought it was stupid.
Oh,
Go ahead.
you
Yeah.
didn't think it was funny.
No, I didn't.
I admired that. I like.
Where'd they get
I like
Where'd they
references.
get a Fonzie lunchbox?
I don't know. It was from the 90s.
It's just
She hasn't
stupid.
been there since.
No, because I don't like that because it's not a joke. It's just like a funny thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to set it up. It doesn't take any ingenuity. All you have to do is go around and ask, "Hey, what's a funny object that we could
Well,
like,
it would
have?"
it would have been a lot better if it was like set up like if they had like
why not a Care Bear? Like, oh, it's in a Care Bear. Like, why not?
Yeah.
It doesn't take
Well, that would
any
be funny.
You don't have to be funny to come up with something like that.
Marvel, Anna and Ryan, whatever your names are, take notes.
That's not
if
a
you're gonna
joke.
direct the sequel.
Yeah. But
Take notes.
That's not a joke. It's just like something that's funny that you're like, oh, that's Fonzie is funny because it's an old show.
It was nostalgic, I get it, but at the same
Yes.
time, like
it just doesn't take.
it would have
away.
been cool if they had like set up like Marvel's favorite show on Earth was Happy Days or whatever.
Sure. Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Or if we'd seen her with that Fonzie lunchbox in a flashback, and then she picks stuff off her shelf and like puts it in there.
yeah. Yeah. There you
Where'd
go.
they get it from?
It was on the ship.
Why?
Because Annette Bening had it there because she likes
Happy
apparently
Days?
she likes
She's a big
Happy Days, but we
fan?
don't know for sure because
I'm
we
sorry.
don't.
You need to go because I just keep getting
Okay, I'm
upset.
just gonna leave.
No, but yeah. You need to read off.
All
you need
right.
to lighten the mood.
Yeah. Okay.
You need to lighten the mood on this train wreck.
You know what? It really is.
This is not a review.
This is. I don't know what this is.
don't know.
I liked the second half of. I split this movie up into two halves. The first half, the second half. The first half is uneven, poorly written, and just kind of boring. Second half, when she's
Well, they're throwing you around all over the place. You can't find your bearing.
yeah, the second half is fun because you finally see her do something with her powers. It's action packed. It's fun. It's energetic music.
It slows down and there are
cool
character
visuals.
moments.
Yeah.
There should have been a scene on the Kree planet where, say, her and her whole team, they're out for drinks, hanging out. And then, say, like, a bomb blows up, and they're like, oh, it was another Skrull terrorist attack. And then she's, like, helping people, and she's like, I hate those Skrulls, right? But I guess maybe that would be too much of a connection to, like, Israeli-Palestinian stuff, which is exactly what I thought about when I watched this, that they were trying to allude to with the Skrulls. We just want our own place to live, right? Very much so. But then if that happened, you could have a scene where Jude Law was like, I faked that terrorist attack, ha ha ha. And then you'd be like, oh, shit. Skrulls Kree are bad.
So much more dramatic and thick. Yeah. I know we already talked about the Skrulls, but I just got to say, Ben Mendelsohn was great. He was awesome. He was a great villain. Marvel's known for having pretty weak villains, and even in this movie, they still kind of do, since Jude Law is technically the villain. But at face value, with Ben Mendelsohn being set up as the villain,
it was refreshing that he turned out to be noble.
Yeah, noble and sort of just fun. He was a funny character.
And their makeup looked great.
Oh yeah, the makeup was fantastic. Yeah.
I was really glad to see that, actually, that they used real prosthetics and they weren't CGI.
Yeah, I really appreciated that.
It looks great.
Because you could have easily CGI'd over them and made them look, green and stuff. But I was like, no, this is real.
It looked good.
And I think that precedent was kind of set in Guardians because, like, if you stray away from that, then you're kind of screwed.
It's true.
Last thing I liked on the list, the post-credit scene. The post-credit scene. Well, the mid-credit scene. Post-credit scene, the cat pukes up the Tesseract. It's funny, whatever. The mid-credit scene where we see we flash forward to now, Captain America, Black Widow, War Machine, Hulk are like, they found the pager and they're like, what's going on? Why is it not blinking? We have to find out why it's not blinking. And they turn around and boom, Captain Marvel's there. Where's Fury? Cut to black.
You like that?
I like that, yeah. I think the Russo brothers are going to, I hope that they're going to do something interesting with Captain Marvel and not just make her this.
It can't be that she's the Deus Ex Machina of the whole thing and just saves the day.
I hope not. And I think they're smart enough to know that that's not what we want.
No, you can't do that because that'd be like a big cheat to like the people that are the OG Avengers fans.
So pissed, yeah, because this is their story at the end of the day. And Captain Marvel, I think, is just there to usher in sort of this new era that they're going to leave behind.
I want to say I didn't like that scene because, and I think actually the new trailer that came out today remedied my fears, but when I saw that scene, I think Brie Larson was miscast.
You think she was miscast?
Yes. I would have casted like Elizabeth Debicki. Did you see Widows? She was in that. She has much more of a regal physicality to her, high cheekbones. She looks a little bit like the way that they draw Captain Marvel in the comics.
I can see that.
A little bit like more like very martial. Whereas I think Brie Larson looks too much like girl next door, Southern California cute. And when they put her in that costume and she walks into the room with all the other Avengers, it just looked kind of like she was showing up to a costume party. I don't think she has the same gravitas as like Scarlett Johansson. And that might be because she's young, but she doesn't have the same stature. She doesn't. But she
hasn't established herself yet.
Yeah, maybe that's just it. But I thought that she was just a little flippant. I didn't understand in the movie, like, if they had gone the full way where she was just a confused alien the whole time, rather than like sometimes confused and other times like
totally with
it and hip, hanging out at the mall, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they'll. I don't think. Again, we go back to the script. The script wasn't a good training ground for her to prove herself as a hero.
No, yeah, it didn't give her really a chance.
No,
because she's a great actress. She doesn't need to prove anything about her performance. Like, but the script needs to be, and the directors need to be able to pull that out of her.
Did they write it?
I don't think they did. It was written by a different woman writer.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which can be the problem for these Marvel movies sometimes because they pull in random things that they think if combined can work, like the duos, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
That's cool because, but sometimes you pull in somebody like the guy who did Thor: The Dark World, and you're thinking he was a showrunner on Game of Thrones. Thor, easy match, right?
Match made in
and
heaven.
Everyone sees that the director announcement and they go, makes sense, right? And then you do someone like the Russo brothers. I was initially upset that they were cast because I thought they were just like scabs and they were just guys that Marvel could throw in there and push around. I was like, why not hire John McTiernan or someone like an old school action director?
Yeah.
They totally proved me wrong. And I wonder if it is a cynical ploy because you can rope in directors like the Russo brothers to do 15 films for you and they won't complain. And you can they're not going to be like, they're not going to be like James Cameron and say, this is my way or the highway. They're going to be team players because they've been given a big gift. So you wonder if it's a cynical thing or they really want to be a creative incubator of new talent.
Yeah. Speaking of that, James Cameron, I saw Lita before I saw this. And not that I'm some expert in what makes a great feminist empowering movie, but I think Alita was a much better character than Captain Marvel.
Sure.
Because from what I've been told, feminism, according to certain sources I've heard, is about empowering women in addition to everybody else, More or less, I think.
I guess so. I've heard that where people say, feminism is about everybody or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can call your movement feminism and have it be like it's also about this. It's like, well, maybe you should call it something different.
Or redefine it. But
I don't have a problem with there being a feminism which is about we need to focus on, restructuring society or whatever so it benefits women more. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's fine. Great. Yeah. Call it feminism. That makes sense. But then, but the definition is so obscure.
It is, yeah. But based on that logic that they've set up,
yes,
Alita Battle Angel is a much more empowering movie than Captain Marvel because Alita actually has some personality and some humanity to her. Like you get this sense that she cares and she's doing these things for more than just herself. Yeah. She has this. If you see the movie, you'll see. But she has this like, oh gosh, I just talked about this on my podcast. She has this love for life. Like there's a scene where she's like trying food for the first time. She bites into an orange without taking off the peel, and she's like, I don't know if I like this. And then Christoph Waltz like, well, you gotta take the peel off first. And then she bites into it, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. What was I thinking, not taking the peel off? And it's just like those little genuine character moments of her growing and just seeing this affection she has just for simply living and enjoying life. It's kind of what motivates her throughout the entire movie.
Same with Wonder Woman. Because one of the most powerful moments of that movie is when she essentially witnesses all the destruction that men have wrought on the world when she goes into World War I, into battle, and she sees all the people suffering, and they say, you can't help them, we got to go do a mission, right?
It's impossible, yeah.
And she is able to become a beacon for hope and an aspirational figure for everybody in the whole movie to look to, because by her nature of her being a woman, she is not necessarily as callous as all the men, and she believes that there's good in everybody, right?
Yeah.
Eventually she's kind of proven wrong because Chris Pine basically says, humanity, we're kind of screwed. We are inherently selfish and violent and vindictive. You can do what you can to mitigate that. But she did have a love for life and a curiosity and a passion to help people.
Yeah.
What did Captain Marvel like? And part of it is not her fault. It's because she's not a character because she can't fully know who she is. She's on Kree and she's like, I guess I'm Kree because you told me to be Kree. And then she goes on Earth and they're like, you were really great. And she was like, oh, okay.
There was an opportunity to make her sort of like Jason Bourne. This is what I was kind of hoping for, to like see her old life. Yes. To see who she is as a Kree, but then as she learns who she is, she becomes a completely different person, like an amalgamation of the two, where it's not completely her human form, it's not completely her Kree form, it's the Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything like that. Like Wonder Woman is a perfect example because, and not that every female character has to be this
maternal character
who has this love for life. Captain Marvel didn't have to be that. She doesn't have to be this motherly figure, but she needs to be.
In the comics, she's kind of like the John McCain of the Marvel Universe, especially if you've read Civil War II. She's an absolutist. She's very concerned with law and order and crime. She's sort of unsympathetic, but she is principled and she has a character. There's a reason that she does things, right?
Everything she does in this movie seems to be about herself and proving things to other people. And it's just like, who said you had to prove anything to anybody?
Right.
Like, I'm kind of done proving myself. I don't have to prove anything to you, Jude Law. It's like
who was saying that you?
Who was saying that you had to? Even though he was like, prove to me that you can fight. And then she's just like, it's like, well, you don't have to say anything. You just proved it right there.
Yeah, you beat him. He's done.
Yeah, don't say anything. Shut up and put him in the car and have him go home.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be better if he was, because like she very much like emasculated him in that moment. Where he's prepared to do the whole thing, and then she just kind of goes, boom, done. Right? But it would help if he was more of a despicable character before that.
Yeah.
Like, say he was really mean and dismissive and cruel to her. But he wasn't really.
You kind of liked him.
Yes.
He was kind of a likable character, but then they'd be like, oh, well, that's part of his diabolical charm. It's like, no, it's not. He was actually a likable character.
Why couldn't he have been mean? I mean, because it's more important to like be surprised that he's the villain.
Yeah.
So the plot twist is more important than any real catharsis in your movie. It should have been that she was training and trying her hardest on Kree Planet, and that if they really wanted to make it a sexism thing, it was like a good old boys club, and she was treated like shit, And then you're hoping you got to prove to him Captain Marvel, but instead he's just kind of like a benign benefactor to her in a way. And then it turns out he's actually bad. But it's not. He's bad, but not because he had any sort of like special malice against her. He's just bad in a bad way, in that he's an imperialist. I mean,
and we don't learn why. we just know they want to oppress the Skrulls because
they want to oppress the Skrulls. The Skrulls did nothing wrong.
Because they're hideous.
We just
they
don't.
have green
They're
skin.
ugly.
We hate green skin.
Get off our planet.
Yeah.
Building a wall. I mean, what are they Skrulls taking everyone's jobs? I mean, like, what have they done?
Yeah.
But we're joking, but like that would really be helpful to the movie if we knew why they were fighting.
Well, you said something earlier about how you wish the Skrulls were not.
It was a waste.
We're not good. We're not good guys, and I agree because the Skrulls are great villains because of what they can do.
Yeah.
And again, that's why like the whole Fury losing an eye thing is so disappointing because they can change into anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody, and they don't utilize that. And like you say, there could have been a great moment where Talos, Ben Mendelsohn's character, is like taunting her, like in the form of her dad or somebody who was abusive to her in her life, and she has to kick the butts of the Kree or the Skrulls.
Instead,
nope,
we're told at the end though that she was like people were mean to her when she was in military camp or whatever. So then when she finally stands up at the end, it's like, yeah, you go, girl. But it just seems like a cynical PSA.
Yeah.
Like a Nike ad.
I'm trying to get another review of this off the ground because I want to review it with one of my friends who's a big Marvel fan and it's also a woman. So I really want to get a woman's perspective. I was like, was this actually empowering? And why? Because if you like the movie, hats off to you because clearly you have more positivity and optimism for it than we do. So hats off to you.
You're happy,
but yeah, seriously. But I
don't get it.
Like we mentioned, Alita, Wonder Woman. There are other movies. Hell, Aliens, Terminator 2.
Yeah.
There are so many other films out there. Even in the MCU, characters like Black Widow and Scarlet Witch, the Wasp.
Wasp is a badass.
Wasp was technically the first MCU character to get her kind of own solo movie. So stop saying Brie Larson's the first of this new era.
If you ask me, like Paul Rudd is utterly useless in Ant-Man 2.
Yeah.
She's like the hero of that movie.
She's the hero, yeah. There's so many other, not to completely downgrade Captain Marvel, because it's not Brie Larson's fault. We're not trying to say that.
I don't think it is either.
It's not her fault at all.
It's a bad script.
Yeah. But there are so many other great MCU characters, movie characters, that have been empowering women way before this movie came out. And it's average. It's fine that it's an average movie, but it's gotten to the point where, like with every movie that has women in the front doing action, cough, cough, Ghostbusters.
Right.
If you hate it, you're an anti-feminist pig.
You're a hater. You're a basement dweller.
And that's just not true, because I've been talking to women who didn't even like it.
I hang out in my attic, not a basement.
Yeah.
So there's a difference.
So yeah, he's got his head above ground.
Yeah, exactly. But my girlfriend loved it.
Really?
It was great. And she doesn't normally like superhero stuff.
Huh.
And I told her, and she didn't exactly like it when I said this, but I'm like, they're always saying we need more women represented in film. And I'm starting to think that you're right, because if women think this is really great, then there really is a dearth of quality material out there for women to watch. Huh. And she was like, that's right. That's not the right opinion.
I'm curious. What did she?
I'm kind of serious. Like, they're in a bad place if they can just throw this out to people and go, this is feminism, and it's just like a big corporate product with an astroturfed controversy.
Yeah.
To get it in the papers.
What was her? What was her? I don't want to say excuse. What was her reasons for liking?
She thought Captain Marvel was cool. Thought she was a badass. Liked that she showed everybody up. And I was like, did it bother you that she what name one personality trait? She's like, but here's what she said. She said, and I think there is a little bit to this, and I don't want to be condescending. That's why I wish I had more fans on my channel, which I have 2 people that follow me. But it'd be great to have people in the comments and have an argument about this. But I think that there is a precedent for female characters that are kind of like blank slates. And I'm not just saying this. My girlfriend said that she could imagine herself as her because she wasn't as concrete of a character. Whereas Wonder Woman, which she said Gal Gadot is impossibly pretty, that the fact that she's kind of like the character from 50 Shades of Grey, kind of like Twilight character, where she's just sort of like anybody could be her.
But those aren't good movies.
No, they're not. But you'd be a liar if you said they didn't appeal to large masses of women. And feminists who are smart, who know that stuff is dreck, you have to wrangle with that.
That must be... I don't understand it at all. Maybe that's just because we're men. We're not gonna understand that, but
Right.
because I mean, it's like yes, we kind of like movies with kind of bland, underdeveloped male characters, but it's like those aren't. We're not like rah rah yeah men we're great. It's like
Well, the argument would be like we don't need to because every movie's is male centric, I guess, which is true.
That's true.
You could say
Yeah.
it's definitely
95% of the MCU. Yeah.
Well, you don't realize it because it's so ubiquitous, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm trying to think of any like main Marvel hero that's that blank. Like
Yeah.
I think that I don't think Doctor Strange works as much just because he is kind of a carbon copy of Iron Man.
I think I need to make a video of that. I wrote a paper in college about how there are some really deep undertones in Doctor Strange, even like deep like Christian analogies in Doctor Strange. I wrote a paper on this. I need to do a video.
There's a lot
basically
about like, accepting metaphysical as a thing.
Kind of like that, and him sort of kind of taking on like martyrdom stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot in there that I don't think people really. That's why I think Doctor Strange is like an underappreciated, not masterpiece, but an underappreciated gem in the MCU.
Interesting.
And I love his character in it, and you see him continuing to grow in that aspect in Infinity War, where he's so bent on sacrificing everybody else for the sake of eternity, protecting the Time Stone, but then he's sort of middled down into protecting the one guy that he despises on the team, Tony Stark, for the sake of not just him but the entire universe. Like he realizes, like, you know, I have to work with these people, and it's not just about me.
I didn't think of that as being so much of like a sacrifice, like a Christ-like sacrifice of like I have to die. I thought of it more as being like a pragmatic scientific.
Well, more so you get more so of that in Doctor Strange and Infinity War. It's not so much the sacrifice. It's a humbleness. I think he accepts the fact that he has this sort of this air to him that he.
Well, guys, I'm sorry to leave you holding the bag there with the episode. I really wish that it hadn't cut off because we really did have a fun conversation that stretched for about another half an hour, and it was pretty all-encompassing. And we sort of strayed away from the Captain Marvel discussion and just talked as friends, which in the old days is how people used to do things when they had conversations and cameras weren't pointed at them for social media. However, thanks for watching. I'm sorry if this was unsatisfactory. It does not meet the standards of what I normally like to put out when I have guests on the show. I hope to remedy this when I talk to Big V again if he deigns to come on the show. However, please don't forget to subscribe to his channel. It's great stuff, and keep an eye out for more videos from me. Thanks.